Boom! We are live. TGIF, people, outside of the fact that TGIF is going bankrupt. But I am Tester Nick, number 808. I'm here with obviously not Miss Swedish Fish, but Darren, Marketing Ninja W. Welcome, Darren.
Good morning, Nick. How are you?
Not bad, not bad. Yeah, glad it's Friday. So we've got a couple things on the rundown today. Two interesting topics that I hope the audience will like. One is obviously, I think everybody heard, well, maybe not because of everything going on in the news, but ChatGPT did launch their search capabilities. And while they may think Google is just panicking right now, I'm guessing that they're probably not quite yet. And of course, our favorite topic, newsletters, and why every company should have one. So, you ready to get into it?
Let's jump into it.
Let's
Start
do it.
with ChatGPT search.
Yeah. So, I mean, did you play with it?
So I've tried it a little bit, and I think like we talked about in Marketing Qualified this week, definitely some cool stuff. Definitely, I think a different use case than what we've gotten used to using ChatGPT for, but probably, like you alluded to, has some limitations or some catching up to do as far as actually competing with search engines. So yeah, let's talk through this.
Yeah,
The one that we
if
tried
you have
here.
the paid user, paid feature of ChatGPT, which is $20, you can, if you look there, the little globe icon, the search feature, you can now use it, right? Obviously, most of us use ChatGPT for a lot of other things. Now, the idea is that it is a replacement for Google, for any other major search engine. So, but what did we find?
Yeah, so we found that. So the big thing was, okay, what does search mean on like what does it actually mean, right? I feel like every time a new AI tool comes out, all these articles come out, and people like us and podcasters, they come out and they say this is going to change the game, and then everyone looks at it like, okay, how? Like what do I do with it, right? Like there's so many use cases for these AI tools. But the big thing they're pushing here by actually calling it a search engine is that it now has access to timely information, right?
Right.
Like that's what people have been pushing for so long with ChatGPT is this is awesome, but I need things in real time, up to date information. So we gave it a shot with something of just like movie showtimes. That's a very common example that we did.
Benign, not
Yeah.
controversial. Yeah.
No, it was like New York City showtimes, movie showtimes. And what we found is it gave us a lot of information for sure. It gave us different movies that are in theaters, gave us different theaters in the New York City area, but it didn't actually give us the showtimes. So the one thing we were asking for, which was, hey, I'm looking for movies today. What time is it going to be showing in my local theater? It didn't actually give us that information. So we
Yeah,
tried
I
to.
think the key thing here is that it definitely works. It provides information, but I almost equate it to ChatGPT is too smart for search right now.
That's kind of what I was going to get at too. Is it seems like bringing a gun to a knife fight. Like ChatGPT is so powerful and has so much access to information, but I think a lot of times why we turn to Google or search engines is we need information quick. We don't need, if I ask for the weather forecast, I don't need to know the weather history of the last 40 years and what's happening in 2 months. I just want to know tonight, should I bring a sweater, right?
Yeah.
And I think this is a step in that direction, but it's not quite there yet.
Yeah. So I think our take is, hey, it's still early days, and ChatGPT is an amazing tool, just like Claude, just like all these other AI tools. But for now, I think we're going to stick to Google, stick to some of these other search engines. But if you want to learn something, how deep is the ocean, how to build a model airplane, how to do certain things, it's a great tool. It's still a great tool to be able to help teach and learn.
I think that's a great example. Yeah, if you're using the regular Chat GPT 4.0 or whichever model you're on, and you type in something like "how deep is the ocean," that's you can really do a lot with that, and it's going to give you a lot of different information. So for things like that, I definitely think it's going to give you a quicker, more easy to digest version of that. So for those things, for simple searches, I definitely think it can be a helpful tool.
All right, so let's jump to our next topic, which is why every company needs a newsletter. So obviously we are recapping a newsletter. We produce multiple newsletters for ourselves, for our clients. We probably subscribe to at least 100 of them. Why the heck, like, why does a company actually need a newsletter?
Yeah, it's funny because like you said, we're talking about newsletter within our newsletter. It's like newsletter. It's like the movie Inception where they go within dreams. But so there's a lot of different reasons. And of course, we've talked a lot about newsletters and we're big proponents of that. But we wanted to highlight a couple key ones here. The first is you get direct access to your audience. You're not relying on the algorithms of things like social media platforms or SEO or things like that to get your message in front of people. You are directly reaching out to people that subscribe to hear from you, which sounds simple, but that direct access on a regular basis is a key. You want to talk about some other things, Nick?
Yeah, I think the other thing is obviously authenticity. So at the end of the day, newsletters are, especially for companies, are around creating insights and stories that are representative of what you believe in and what you're trying to do. And so there's a way, to turn people from readers to fans. I mean, I know for a lot of the newsletters I read, I'm invested now. Like I've got to know the personalities of the authors. I like what they're writing. I find it interesting. So you become that observer versus now I'm a fan, and that's really hard to do in any other medium versus a newsletter that shows up in your mailbox every week, every other week, every month, whatever the frequency is. That authenticity it's just a good way to do that, to really have a conversation versus a presentation, so to speak.
Yeah, and speaking about that authenticity, I think this is probably a good time to check if you watching have a newsletter, read through your newsletter. Is it authentically you? Does it represent who you are, your personal voice, your brand voice? Because if not, if you've kind of fallen into the habit of, hey, here are our new products, or here's some promotions or events we're going to, that's all good stuff. But really what your audience is going to care about is connecting with you and what is the value that they can get from that. Because that's what turns them from followers into fans.
Yeah, it's all about it's creating that audience, which is I think the third point, right? Like, what's the huge value of a newsletter is obviously distribution, right?
Yeah, and we talked a little bit about this earlier with the platforms, and you're not relying on algorithms, but you're owning that process of distribution. Social platforms come and go in popularity and usership and things like that, but your email list, you've got a list of subscribers. You're constantly staying on top of, and sure, there's going to be some variation in that and some people coming and going, but owning that direct distribution channel is huge.
Yeah, for sure. And obviously, I mean, there's ways to amplify that, right? I mean, we take our newsletter and we do this quick, few minute recap every week as a different way to share the information on a different medium. So, the crux of this is you have content that can be equally distributed to other sources in other ways. So again, a way to own that distribution of what it is.
Yep. Yeah. The last thing I wanted to, and we talked a lot about the authenticity too, but it allows you to be a little bit less formal with your audience and speak in a true voice, which I definitely think is a big part of authenticity. But instead of creating formal marketing content where you're really, really concerned with the language and representing your business formally, a newsletter allows you to kind of strip back that layer of formality and I think connect a lot more on a lot more personal level with your subscribers. So I don't think that should be lost in the sauce as well.
All right. Well, so that's our kind of the top 4 reasons why we believe so strongly in the power of a newsletter: direct access to the audience, building authentic relationships, owning the distribution, and really speaking your true voice. And that voice could be all kinds, right? So whatever the voice is that you choose, that's your path to go on. So, all right. So those are the 2 topics, and to my favorite part of the week, which is the meme. This cracked me up.
Yeah, this cracked me up too. I was actually reading this on my phone, and like we've all been in that situation where we're watching a YouTube video and you just wait for the little yellow bar to go at the bottom of your screen so you can click skip ad.
Yeah, from whether it be no matter what it is, online, whether it be Netflix, whatever it is, you're always looking for that skip feature. So it's
It made me think of, hey, can we somehow build this into a landing page or an email campaign? It's probably a little bit too bait and switchy to actually use as a call to action, but is definitely funny and got my head turning.
All right, guys. Well, thanks again. That's the Marketing Qualified for this week. So if you do not subscribe, you can go to marketingqualified.co.co. We also have our Partner Science magazine or Partner Science newsletter, partnerscience.tech. And we also have our Channel Bites Technology Bits and Bytes newsletter, which is channelbites.com. So feel free to sign up and ask questions, comments. We are here and our voice to provide you insights and fun every week. Thank you, Mr. Marketing Ninja.
You got it. Have a great weekend, everybody.
All right. Take care, guys.